Welcome everyone to today's webinar, Myrtha Approach to Swim Development in CCCAN. The Myrtha Pools and CCCAN partnership is kind of fresh and one that we really pride ourselves on. And we at Myrtha Pools are happy to get to work, and this webinar being kind of one of our first initiatives for many more to come. So before we get started, I would like to remind everyone to keep your microphones muted throughout the duration of the webinar. And for a better connection, I would also suggest turning the camera off. In addition, on the Microsoft Teams app, there is an option to take part throughout the webinar. So you can write any questions in the chat using this function, or if you want to raise your hand, you can use this function. If you do raise your hand, please just wait until you've been prompted to unmute your mic and participate. So I'll start by giving a brief introduction to our speakers. Trevor Tiffany, a very, very well-known name in the swimming community, Myrtha Pools chairman of the board. And then we go to Philippe Gerbier, who is Myrtha Pools export manager for the LATAM region and one of the faces spearheading this partnership. Next, we have Julian Bryce, a former CCCAN swimmer, who I'm sure most of you already know, and currently regional manager for the Caribbean. And then finally, myself, last but not least, I think I can say that, joining the guys today, and also a former CCCAN swimmer, and I'm currently working in brand management for Myrtha Pools on a global scale. Of course, I'm biased, and CCCAN region is much near and dear to me, as you may all know. Now, before we dive into the webinar, I would like to hand the floor over to Felix Calderon, the president of CCCAN, who without him and his team, this partnership would not be possible. I'll give the floor to you to say a few words.
Thank you, Lenny. Good morning, good afternoon. As Lenny mentioned, this is a very fresh partnership that we had created between CCCAN and Myrtha Pools. It was a long process to be able to make it possible. As all you know, 2020 was not the brightest year, to call it the least, no? And we had some difficulties to try to push it through, but finally we managed to come to this point, and we are very, very, very proud in CCCAN to be able to partner with a great designer and pool builder as Myrtha Pool. I think that this initiative will bring great new possibilities to bring swimming and all the aquatic sports throughout the region. CCCAN region is extremely vast. We have 28 countries with all different needs. We believe in CCCAN that the partnership with Myrtha Pools will help us to expand the development of our sport. So I really, really thanks on behalf of CCCAN, all the team for Myrtha, specifically Philippe, that was the one that was dealing with me for more than a year to make this possible. And we are very, very proud, like I said, to be with you guys. Lenny.
Thank you, Felix. Thank you for the message. Okay, now let's get into it. Trevor, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Felix, for those kind words, and we're just as excited as you are, and I think you can tell by the team that you're meeting today that we're all passionate about swimming. We've all pretty much been involved in swimming all of our lives, and we're just not pool salespeople. We're people who want the sport to grow and prosper. So Myrtha is considered by many to be a new technology, but here's Giorgio, our founder, who founded the company 60 years ago, and 50 years we've been building Myrtha Pools. So you know, I still consider myself an integral part of the swimming community, but when I started looking at this, I've been working with Myrtha for 30 years now, so this is certainly not anything new. So now we're present in over 60 countries, actually 70, look, around the world, and we have 400 permanent employees in Italy. We're a small manufacturing company, really, not as large as people presume that we are, with only 400 direct employees. But as of recently, we now have 8 subsidiaries around the world. In Brazil, from the Olympic Games, of course, the USA, Sarasota, Canada, Germany, India, all over the place. And we are a manufacturer, so we produce about the equivalent of one 6-lane, 25-meter pool every day of the year. And what that translates to is over 1,000 private pools, predominantly in Italy, and about 300 commercial pools somewhere around the world. And so people ask, why Myrtha? Well, it's pretty simple. We're a stainless steel manufacturer, so our product is long-lasting materials, and it's laminated the surface of the pool inside with a hard PVC laminate. So the fabrics last a lifetime, and we also use a fiberglass reinforced membrane to seal the concrete floor of our pools and so on. The other thing about Myrtha is we're constantly upgrading the product, and therefore, because this is our core business, and it's all we do, and we do a lot of pools, we of course have the knowledge and experience of why someone would choose Myrtha. But the big question is, why not concrete? So for those of you who are really not involved in the building industry, you've got 2 choices when you're building a concrete pool. One is the poured in place, the larger photograph, and then the second one is a shot concrete. So it's someone blows concrete into a steel frame, and it's either called gunite or it's called shotcrete. And these are the 2 main methods of building pools. If it's a concrete pool, it's either painted, because you don't have very much money, or it's fully tiled. And each of those procedures, of course, have their own issues. But the big point about building a concrete pool is it's a uniblock structure. So in high water tables and unstable soils, it's a very risky technique for building a pool, because if the water table rises, there's a chance that the pool will lift. If it doesn't lift, there's a chance it will crack. And if it's unstable soil, then you've got to reinforce the building of that pool with piers so that, again, it doesn't rise and doesn't crack. With a Myrtha pool, the structure of the walls are independent from the floor itself, so it brings significant advantages. The other thing about Myrtha, aside from waterproofing and the shotcrete pool, is that with the new FINA rules, if you've not read them carefully, the rules in terms of tolerances for the length of the pool are now really, really tight. So when you look at the rule, you have essentially 1 centimeter tolerance to build a pool. But any of you that know much about touchpads, the rules say they are 1 centimeter thick. In fact, they're 1.2. And if you have 2 touchpads at 1.2, you've then got equivalent 0.6 millimeters in which you have tolerance to build a pool. With a poured and formed place and tile, this is very, very difficult to build. With shotcrete, it's practically impossible when you are spraying concrete onto the end of a pool. So these are important factors that allow Myrtha to have significant advantages for competition pools over the concrete equivalent. And then there's the waterproofing of those shells, which when you are using a PVC material, it allows you to get some perfect waterproofing in comparison with concrete, which of course is porous, and any application that you use to try and waterproof that concrete. So you'll remember this. This was, of course, Rio and the famous green pool. And I'm not sure how many of you have heard the backstories to some of this, but this is the last day of water polo. This is the last day of water polo, and the diving pool is already world famous by this time. And synchro is about to start the next day. And you can see that the water polo pool, which will be the synchro pool, is already turning green.
Sorry, I just want to remind everyone to please keep your microphones muted because of the interference between.
877-7095.
Okay, we'll call you right away.
Or I hope it's not a credit card number. Okay, sorry.
Can you go to the next photo, Lani?
Yeah.
So fortunately, in terms of the games, we built two pools alongside the Murrialinka venue, 50 meter by 10 lane by 3 meter deep pool and a water polo warm-up pool. So when this problem arose, and we met with the IOC and met with FINA, they wanted to know, was it possible for us to do anything? And we said, yes, it's possible, but, you know, pretty difficult. But the choices were not many. If we were not able to do something, can you imagine the next day synchro was due to start in a green pool, right? And it would have to be canceled. And they'd have to move synchro into the main swimming competition pool, which was now already starting swimming competitions. They'd have to refund or exchange tickets to that venue. It was just an impossible situation for FINA and the IOC. So we had to come up with a solution, and the solution was to empty our warm-up pool and empty the competition pool here and fill with the water from our warm-up pool. And we, in fact, achieved that overnight, which even now thinking about it was just mind-boggling and ridiculous, and involved pretty much the whole of the fire brigade for Rio. If there had been a fire in Rio that night, there wouldn't have been much left of the city. So it was a magnificent achievement by those people helping and by our guys involved. So you say, why Myrtha? You're buying the knowledge and experience of the company. We've been in this game for a long time now. We've experienced everything, Rio being a prime example of what we experienced in building pools, but many different problems that pools create. We've seen them, we've hopefully learned from them, and hopefully you would not have them if you're building a pool with Myrtha. So that's my little story. On to you guys.
All right, so I think many of these faces look familiar, and it's really no surprise that we have athletes and swimmers that are performing at already really high levels. So on the world stage, at the Olympics, and even medaling in most cases. But I think from meeting with most of you and speaking with most of you over the last few years, I think it's the common goal is how do we build on this success? How do we get more champions like these? How do we and even not even just champions, how do we teach more kids to swim so they can be comfortable in the water? And that's sort of what we want to help you all with. How do we get to that point?
And just to spin off of what Julian has said, I mean, we were only able to show just a few pictures, but I mean, if we were to go in depth, the accolades of the swimmers coming out of CCCAN, we would need more than an hour webinar. I mean, we will need days, even weeks. But as we're on the topic, I wanted to show a prime example, a shining example actually of what's a swimmer coming from the region of CCCAN. Here we'll see the photo of Suriname's Anthony Nesty. I'm sure you all may know of his legendary swim in the 100-meter fly at the 1988 Olympics. I mean, gold medal swim, his story really is one to be admired. And throughout the years, I mean, he's still very prominent on the swimming community on an international scale. He started actually as an assistant at the University of Florida, coaching with also Leah Martindale Stansel, who was also a Barbadian Olympian swimmer, Olympian finalist. And they together were kind of working with the top University of Florida team. And now Nesty is, a few years ago, he took over the men's team. And now today, this year, he's also being put in control of both the teams, just to give a shining example. So kudos to Anthony Nesty and where he currently is.
So, I mean, now that we can see, what's possible, even with the limited resources that we have, I think given my background as a national St. Lucian swimmer and working with Myrtha these last few years, I've really not seen any reason why the CCCAN region can't have the same standard of anything that is being used on the world stage. So there's no reason why we can't have the same pools, no reason why we can't have the same blocks, no reason for any of that. And we want to make sure that we help bring the region as close to that as possible. When you think about that, you might say, is it expensive? Is it possible? Is it even going to be applicable to, my country, climate-wise, topography-wise, all that? And that's sort of where we want to come in. We want to be the experts that will help, take that pool that you see in Tokyo or Rio or London or any of the other past Olympics, and bring it to the region. But not just bring it to the region, we want to adapt it so it's going to help you for your country and the specific needs of your swimmers, your program, or where you want your program and swimmers to be, or athletes, I should say.
Okay, so partnerships.
Well, our main partner, of course, is FINA. It's been a tremendous partner for us, and we are hoping to renew now through the Los Angeles Olympics. But of course, the recent turmoil with COVID and with FINA itself means that everything's on the table waiting for the new executive and the new president to be appointed. But we're hoping that this will continue. There are no signs that it shouldn't. And also we have a partnership with LEN, which is the European federations, which has been successful, and we've done many championships with LEN. It's a really good relationship. What we also like about both relationships is meeting the people. So one of our main aims with CCCAN is that we'll be able to meet you at your annual get-together and become friends and really get into in-depth discussions of how we can help develop the marketplace for you.
And further to that, we also show on this slide a few examples of the different federations that we are partnering with. But it's very interesting to note that all of our partnerships are different and tailored to the needs of the federations. So just to touch quickly on a few, USA Swimming, for example, as Trevor has mentioned, has been a long-standing partnership. And it's resulted in the use of our temporary pools for their trials events every 4 years. Coming up next month, we'll start the installation of the 2021 event. Further to that, we have smaller European federations. So Czech Swimming Federation, for example, we're valuing kind options or sponsoring particular events, even offering training facilities for the national teams. So just to give an example of the levels of different partnerships. And then another interesting one to note was the Japanese Federation, which we are much looking forward to with Tokyo coming up and Fukuoka World Championships next summer. But this one then done through our local distributor in Japan. So just to give an example of how the the different agreements can work based on the needs of each particular federation.
Okay. So I believe, Len, it's my turn. So, well, first of all, I'd like to say hello to everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here with you, and it's a great honor. And thank you very much, Felix, for your kind words at the beginning. So I'll have two interventions. This is the first one, which is quite quick. Just to follow the path of what Trevor was saying, we have other worldwide partnerships. First of all, partners with the world's largest suppliers. So we pride ourselves in selecting the best suppliers to provide the best material possible. As you know, Myrtha is a synonym of quality, and this is something absolutely we can't do without. So the selection of the suppliers is extremely important. Further, as we mainly export our products, I mean, we export 80% of our pools, so we have to ensure and facilitate direct logistic connections with routes and connections we are already using. That's quite an important part, and we are hiring people. We have hired so many people now inside the our headquarters to ensure that we can provide the best logistic achievements. That's important. Help connect directly with suppliers to obtain the best prices. We do involve our suppliers within our process to be able to, first of all, supply the correct material, and second of all, to make sure we have the best quality, as I said before. Consultants with years of project experience worldwide. So one of the main feature, most important feature of our company is we don't want to be a sole player. Okay, we think that by connecting and having affiliated people who work with us, we find that this is the most profitable and the most effective solution to be able to provide what's new on the market, what's best on the market, and be ahead of every one of our competitors. As you know, this is really a tough field, and we always need to make sure we're on top of everyone and everything. Is very important. Ability to provide functional approaches to design, constructions, and long-term sustainability based on real past applications. We have inside our headquarters, we have technical office which includes more than 60 architects and engineers, and this incredible team helps us to ensure that we are able to provide any solution to any customer needs. That's very important, and I think we're the best at that, no doubt, we're the best. And finally, create and introduce to the right connection, obtain source of funding. This is very important when we try and help some clients to be able to retrieve some fundings for a specific project. It's not always easy, but we need to understand how we can help the customer to get the money, to get the funding, which is, of course, the objective, so we can deliver the right pool to the right person. So I would say this is extremely important in our activity. And as you know, it's not only about selling pools. It's about creating a network. It's about providing the best solution and the best service we can possibly do. Thank you very much. Oh, it's my turn. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Lanny. It's still my turn. I'm still on. Okay, this is something more specific. I wanted to start my intervention with this, but I did it the other way around. Just to connect to what Felix was saying, this agreement with CCCAN is something really that we strived on, and we worked with Felix more than a year, as he said. It did last more than a year to achieve this, and this is something. I think this is my biggest achievement since I'm in the company. I've been in the company for 10 years now, and I think this is absolutely one of the best achievement I've ever done, because it was about going on a different direction, a different path. And although we do have agreements with other federations and sub-regional FINA organization, there was something. It was something I was really keen on doing, because I think that politically we needed to have a partner, a very strong partner, prestigious partner, which is CCCAN, because we don't just want to. I was quite fed up just selling pools. It's not my goal. My goal or the goal of the company. We want to be part of the process of swimming, the world of swimming, and be able to help to provide a full service product. And I think this partnership with CCCAN is absolutely a way to be closer to the market. As you know, we're FINA technical partners, but FINA is something very prestigious partnership, of course. But it was something that I think was my sensation, my feeling. It was a bit far away from the reality of the market, of the territory. And I wanted to have, let's say, to build a relationship, a close relationship with a more regional organization. And I think I couldn't have done it better than with CCCAN.
So we worked with the Jamaica Swim Association in 2018, right before Carifta, and this is a short excerpt from a thank you letter that they wrote us after. But I think it's important to show, it really represents what exactly we're trying to achieve. So Jamaica came to us and they said, hey, we're hosting Carifta, and many of these athletes are competing at the World Champs and the Olympics, and we kind of want to upgrade our pool to have a similar standard. But this is our budget. So we took that into consideration, sat down with them, worked through everything with them, and then in the end, they were able to get exactly what they needed to get their pool up to where they wanted it to be. So I think this is kind of representing on even a smaller scale, what's possible if we work together and we work through whatever barriers that we think might be in our way to get to the standard of where we want to be.
Okay, I'm going to hand the floor back over to Trevor to give us a general introduction on kind of where we stand in all of our different segments, and not just competitive, like where we're most commonly known.
Lani, we have a hand up from Sonia. How does that work?
Okay. Sonia, you can go ahead and unmute, and or if it was an accident, we can keep moving, and then maybe at the end of the Q&A section, we can come back to you. So. Okay,
let's talk about one or two of the misconceptions. So we have a vast experience in providing pools at all levels, but some people think we're too expensive. And I have to tell you, we have a pool to suit everyone's needs. So right from the learn to swim through semi-competitive and competitive, we have several versions of the top-class Myrtha pool that you'll see in international competition. So we can usually meet anyone's budget, but you're not necessarily getting that product that you are thinking about at an international competition, but you're still getting the Myrtha tank, you're still getting the experience, you're still getting all the things we provide there. The other thing that we provide as being a partner is that we can provide concept drawings, which will help you sell a project to local government, to local councils, to whomever you're trying to sell to. We'll provide something like this, which is a concept drawing, but based on what you want, your needs. We'll advise on things that will help make it a worthwhile project for you, but really we're talking with you and trying to provide you with the tools that will help you sell and build another pool.
So I know for me as a swimmer, I mean, I thought of a pool as just sort of a hole that had water and some markings. It turns out it's a little more than that. And I think after we've figured out with you and worked with you and found out, the right pool for you, we're also here in the background to make sure that it's going to be functional. Well, we're going to make sure that the structure is in place. We're going to make sure your plumbing, the electrical, all the other little scope things that are necessary, but, really takes an expert to do it. We're here to ensure that all that's accounted for. So not only will you have the pool that you want, but it's going to be functional.
Okay, moving on now to our Learn to Swim. This is a very big part of our business as well. And contrary to popular belief, Myrtha has the idea of just main big competition events and big temporary events. But Learn to Swim, especially for us in our region, where it's very, very important being so close to water, for health reasons, for safety reasons, and fun reasons, just to name a few. And a few features of Myrtha Learn to Swim pools include, customizable floors. So whether it's arrows or logos or different graphics for the kids. Our ceramic one technology that you'll see in the photo to the right here, which makes for an ease of sitting for the kids, allowing them to gradually and safely enter the pool. Benches as well within the tank, so ideal for kids to stand or sit while waiting on their turn during swim lessons. So safety for the kids, but also it offers a peace of mind for the instructors, excuse me. Other accessories like our thermal bulkhead, so just like it sounds, using the Myrtha bulkhead, it gives a possibility to separate large tanks. So maybe the feasibility of just having one pool, having a thermal bulkhead to be able to separate competitive swimmers training at the correct temperature, but also having a warmer area of the pool for smaller kids and learning to swim. And this is just to touch on a few of some of the characteristics for Myrtha Learn to Swim. And then we get into semi-competitive and leisure. And this, I have to admit, is now my personal fave. Retiring from the competitive swimming world, these are the pools that see me most now. So I'm going to step out of the CCCAN region just briefly to show you a bit of what we can offer in the leisure world. So here, a huge leisure center that also features a training pool, but its main business is the fun, the slides, the attractions, the lazy rivers. And it caters mainly to the public and to the community for fun, but also, did I say fun? Yes, I think I did, but also training, learning to swim as well for smaller kids. Now, coming back into our side of the world, this is a hospitality project that features a little bit of everything. You'll see to the left here, we have the custom acrylic wall, which is popular for the Instagram photos. And then we have also to the right, the image on the right, you'll see the entry is Myrtha beach entry technology was used with a sand floor. So we literally took the beach entry technology literally and gave that same effect. So now the filtration system, everything was created so that this pool can now be treated like entry into the beach. And then you swim up to the pool for relaxed area, again with the acrylic wall. Now, competitive, I'm going to hand the floor back over to Philippe to give a few examples, some major projects that we've done in South America, Central America as well.
Okay, thank you, Annie. I'll just bring you to a nice trip in South America without just to see what we did were achievements, and which are not bad at all. In this picture, I'm very fond of this aquatic facility because it was the first project I actually sold in South America. It's located in Bolivia, in a third city, which is called Cochabamba. And this aquatics facility was built for Odesur games, which take place every 4 years. And that was back in 2018. And it featured an Olympic pool with a bulkhead and a diving pool. Fond memories, because as I said, it was my first achievement in terms of sales, so it was really nice. The next one is a very, very harsh and difficult refurbishment 50-meter pool we did with our distributor in Colombia. It's in Bogota, and this is just to situate this facility. This is it belongs to the Ministry of Sports, and it was the existing pool was a 50-meter pool in concrete which was fractured, and this obliged the manager to close this facility, and it deprived the people from Bogota to be able to benefit from an Olympic pool. So it was quite a political issue, and with the help of Julio, our local rep, we managed. I think this negotiation lasts something like 3 years, and we managed to get the project done. And this is really something I'm really proud of. This third one is in Trinidad. It's a classic pool. Competitive pool, and it was very nice pool.
Interesting fact or fun fact for this one was actually my last swim in CCCAN was in this facility, so very close to home, quote unquote. But a very beautiful facility, like Philippe mentioned, in Trinidad.
Okay, this one is absolutely the most high-ranked aquatic facility existing in all South America. This was built for the Junior Olympic Games back in 2018, shortly after the Cochabamba facility. And why did I say it was? This is the most high-ranked pool. Why? Because this is certified by FINA and by the Olympic Committee to be able to host Olympic Games and World Championships. So this is absolutely the most prestigious project we've ever done in South America. And finally, I think this is Peru. Yes, absolutely. This, you might be familiar with this pool, with this aquatic facility. It was the one for the Pan American Games back in Lima in 2019, and this features 2 Olympic pools and a diving pool. One of the 50-meter pool has a bulkhead, and that was quite a success. And I'm sorry.
No, just a quick question here, because if I remember correctly, this one was also, Myrtha was able to adapt because it was to be spec'd to all of British regulations and safety codes, health codes, correct?
Absolutely, Lanny. The owner of the pool, of the whole project, or the government, substantially the government, wanted a pool facility which was that complies with the British standards and the British regulations. So this is something that we, of course, complied with, and just to show you that we have no problem in complying with whatever standards and whatever regulations the customer requires.
Lani, could we go back to Trinidad for a second?
Right.
So I think I should tell the background of Trinidad, because this isn't a new build Myrtha pool, although the build is new. It was actually a concrete tank built by the Chinese. Now, we were supposed to build a pool in the first place, but the Chinese take no notice of anyone when they're involved in a project, and they decided they were going to do it in concrete. And when they did the survey of the pool tank, they found that one side was 10 inches longer than the other side. So they came back to Myrtha and said, please, can you help? And so we actually built a tank within the concrete tank, and we have a system called renovation, which renovates old concrete pools. But in this case, it was a brand new concrete pool that we fixed. Thanks. That's all I had to say, Lani.
Problem. We're going to go back now to handing the floor over to Julian.
All right, and I think if I've presented to any of you all in the past, you know that I'm always trying to make sure that almost every inch of this pool is going to be useful. I think it takes away from the idea of what a traditional pool looks like. So an 8-lane 25 or 10-lane 25 or 8-lane 50. But because I think a lot of times we only really have one shot at getting a pool, we want to make sure that it's going to serve as much as many needs as possible, and not just the competitive aquatic community, but also wider community. And that's what helps sell the pool to the local government or any other outside investors that would have some sort of vested interest. And this is what we want to do, is sit down with you all and go through the pool section by section based on what your program needs. So, hey, I want to do more learn to swim. So we'll have a shallow section, large enough to accommodate, either schools or young kids or even adults who want to learn to swim. Then maybe you have some competitive swimmers and you want to have them swim laps or even just, swimming laps for fitness. So we have a section for fitness as well. And then what does that end up looking like? So like I said, it may not look like the traditional pool that you see at the Olympics or the World Championships, but what's important is that your athletes are getting the most out of the pool that you were able to build. Not just athletes, even just kids that want to have fun. We can incorporate play structures or anything for maybe the weekends or the afternoons. We can incorporate lounge areas for, maybe just adults that want to come lounge.
Julian, are you still there? I think Julian might be having a technical.
Sorry, it came back. Yeah, so I think there's really many avenues that we can pursue once we stop thinking about a traditional pool and start thinking about, hey, what's actually going to work for us and give us the best chance of success.
And I think one of the things also, Julian, if we go back to that last slide, is that if you have Myrtha involved, hopefully you don't end up with something like the top picture on the left. And that is a lane that has no wall to turn on at the end. And we see this type of mistake very often by architects who really are not building many pools. Architects tend to build just one, maximum a couple of pools, unless they're specialists. But the non-specialist, this is the type of mistake that you'll see very often, that you'll have a swimming lane that has no turning wall at the end. So thank you for including that one, Julian.
No, of course. And again, if this is a pool that we'll be here to make sure that your pool will be meeting the minimum standards for any international regulation. So that's something that you can have comfort in knowing. I want to talk a little bit about St. Lucia, not because I'm from there, but also because I think it's one of the few pools that I've seen sort of from the planning phase all the way through design to actually becoming a pool. And I mean that's important to me. And I think as we've swam in the Caribbean, and it's more than just bringing pools to y'all. It's about seeing seeing the kids that are coming after you being given the opportunities that you didn't have. And I think St. Lucia did this really well because they sat down and they sort of planned out where they want their aquatic program to be, how many kids they want to teach, how many coaches they want to educate, what kind of meets they want to host, how they're going to generate revenue for the facility, sort of everything unique to how they thought, in St. Lucia with what they had, they could do to, get their program even more successful, in the next 5 to 10 years. And then they handed that off to us and said, hey, here's what we want, here's where we want to be, and how can you help us get there? And that's sort of where we came in, and our job is really easy after that, because all we have to do is make our suggestions based on where they want to be. So it's really important that you're able to tell us, hey, what do you want for your program? How many kids do you want to teach to swim? Do you want competitive swimmers? Do you want kids in synchro? Do you want to start a water polo team? And then we're going to work backwards from there and then help make that possible. Still on St. Lucia, I think this is important to note because funding is tough. I know in the Caribbean at least, funding is always tough to come by. It comes by very rarely, and you really only get one shot sometimes to get it right. I think a lot of what went into this project at St. Lucia was a very significant planning phase. And on the back end, that ended up saving them probably millions of dollars in, infrastructure that they didn't have to do. The site that they chose was in a sports complex. So already they don't have to worry about just the basic, water connection for the filling of the pool, or electricity, or parking, or even just logistics of how, people, groups and crowds of people are going to flow in and out of this area. Even on engineering, they save costs because they have all the soil testing and reports for that area already. So from the other buildings, so it was easy to move on from there. So I think what's important about this is when we're working with you, help us understand your country, help us understand a little bit more about different areas and possible sites, because it will save in the long run. I mean, for example, there's an indoor volleyball basketball court nearby, so they're using their concession stands, they're using that as a stretching area. So our job really becomes fitting into what the resources that you already have. And I think it's important that we make as much use of that as possible to save money and not while getting you the best possible pool for your country.
Thank you, Julian. And now this kind of wraps everything up for us. So now for the best part, let's dive into some questions. I mean, if anyone on the call wants to ask any specific questions, I mean, we have the whole team here. I'll ask Julian to man the chat or man any questions that anyone may have. I know we have a couple minutes to tackle them if you'd like. Really? Nothing at all? Don't be shy. Or if if you can't think of anything now and you okay.
You have two hands up.
Yeah. Sorry, this is Sonia O'Neill.
Oh, hi.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Great, I'm good. First, let me offer my congratulations to both yourself and Julian for leading this challenge. And also, I'm very pleased to see that you're embracing aquatics, but now from a different angle or from a different perspective. So I think that's really great.
Thank you.
My question, of course, has to do with moving. In Barbados, as you know, we have a concrete pool, and the presenter on manufacturing, he had indicated that a concrete floor can crack or it can become unstable. So I was just wondering, with that scenario, if you're moving from concrete a Myrtha, and how difficult is that? And if that person can perhaps just walk us through the phases of moving from that environment to a Myrtha pool.
Well, I'm sorry to put Julian on the spot here, but I think as Julian knows this pool so well and also knows the Myrtha Renovaction technology really well as well, and you just gave him such a great hype up, I'm going to ask Julian to answer this one if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. So for Trinidad, for example, so first we'd survey the concrete pool to make sure that, you know, once we install the Myrtha shell, it'll still be the correct dimensions. Now we may need to either shave off some of the walls to make that work or build out on it a little bit. The system works with rails, and the panels are roughly 3 foot wide, spaced. And once we have a survey, we custom fit each panel to that size of the pool. So, and then on the floor for the waterproofing, we have our PVC membrane. So essentially, we're creating a Myrtha shell, you know, within the concrete pool. So that and then we give a 25-year warranty on top of that. It still means that we have to monitor, you know, any one draining. So, all right, I'll go back a little bit. What causes the concrete pool to crack sometimes is incorrect draining and the groundwater pushing up the concrete pool. So we're here to part of that initial survey is to make sure that, you know, all that's done properly, and especially when draining and filling the pool. So it's really just we're fitting our Myrtha shell into the concrete pool.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Daniel, did you have a question?
Yes, please. Daniel Redmond, president of the Turks and Caicos Swimming Federation. To give you a bit of a background, I work in the construction industry, and I've also ran a maintenance contract for resort swimming pools. And I got a question about the sanitation equipment, because we've had problems here with resorts where the sanitation equipment has broken down and our pools have gone green in resorts. Is there a particular brand that you work with? How long do warranties last for? And what kind of life should we expect from the sanitation equipment?
Julian or Trevor?
So I think the advantage to working with us is that, you know, we don't really, although there are, you know, leaders, but we're able to recommend sort of the entire spectrum for, you know, whatever products are you using. So a lot of that's going to depend on cost. There's obviously a better side of the market, and there's also a pretty good side of the market. So I think it'll all come down to what your budget is, and will help sort of make recommendations based on that. As far as lifespan, that honestly has to do with maintenance. A big thing we've started doing now, we did it with Trinidad for a little while, is we offer remote monitoring because we realize, I mean, a lot of countries around the world, sometimes that's always the issue, is, you know, just not proper care and maintenance for the equipment. So what we can do is also make recommendations for, you know, some sort of remote monitoring that will set off an alarm if something goes wrong, to help make sure that, you know, you're getting the most out of your equipment. It's I mean, like anything, you have to replace stuff after every few years, but we'll make sure that you have the best chance possible of doing that.
Danielle, it's a really good question, because as you well know through your work looking after pools, the water treatment and sanitation is a real nightmare. Usually when people are building the pool, they choose a very cheap solution, as Julian referred to, and therefore that makes it difficult. But the other real difficult part for the island is finding parts, because the market is usually so small, there isn't a really good supplier. What we can do in the situation is we have a really good supplier in the US, in Florida, who looks after our smaller pools and that type of marketplace. And we can put people in touch with someone like that who can easily fly in new parts and services or attend themselves if needed. But really good question.
Okay, thanks very much. I think that answers my question. Thank you.
Cheryl, do you have a question or comment?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to President Calderon for making this possible with Myrtha and giving us an opportunity to gain some knowledge on Myrtha and its services, and also to congratulate you, Lanny, on what you're doing, and Julian. Of course, I know Lanny best of all.
Thank you.
As you know, we have had consultation with Myrtha in relation to the deep pool for water polo and synchro, artistic swimming. I'm just curious as to the scope of time in building that type of pool. I know we have some documentation, etc., on costs, but in terms of the scope of time and also the type of servicing, ongoing servicing that it would require, that might be different from the concrete pool that we now have for swimming.
Thank you for your question. And again, I'm sorry, I'm throwing all the questions off. I'm going to give this one to Julian again, just because I know that he is very familiar with the options for Barbados. So Julian, have at it.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, for us, our to build a pool, it really depends on the crew, the construction crew you're working with, or how many people. For us, our system is modular, so really we can make any timeline work within reason. The main timeline for us is that we need roughly 3 months to manufacture our pools, and typically while that's happening, the excavation, any underground plumbing is taking place. So depending on the size of the pool, I mean, the construction time would vary. But I mean, roughly, I mean, you can say from starting from excavation to starting breaking ground, you can estimate roughly a year. As regards to the differences in maintenance for concrete versus a Myrtha pool, the reason we're comfortable with giving such a long warranty that almost no one else gives is because the Myrtha pool doesn't require nearly as much maintenance as a concrete pool. Every few years, I mean, all of you who have concrete pools will know you either have to replaster or repaint. I think they just repainted the Barbados pool when I visited sometime last year, and that's expensive. So, and if you don't have the money, you're stuck with a pool that doesn't look great for an extended amount of time. With a Myrtha pool, you don't have to do that. Now, although we give a 10-year warranty on our waterproofing, we expect it to last, much longer than that. And I mean, don't take it from us either. I mean, you can speak to Trinidad or anyone else who has a Myrtha pool on some of the differences in what it takes for maintenance. But because of the PVC membrane that we use, it's much easier to clean. You don't have to repaint or replaster it after a few years, and whenever the lifespan of that does run out, we're easily able to replace that and give you a brand new warranty after that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else? Okay. Ben?
Yes, my hand is up. Paula, James, and Lucia.
Hi.
First, I would like to say thank you to Myrtha for making our dream a reality, because we had numerous challenges with regards to our space, the cost, where we wanted to go, and what we wanted them to do to make us international. Because it was useless to us putting down a 50-meter pool. Okay, we want to host events and we need a 25 also, but we want both of them to be international standard. So to us, that was key. And sitting down and having our conversations with Myrtha was a plus for us. They gave us all the options and weighed the pros and cons with us, which were what is the best and cost-wise what we can do. So for that, we are grateful. So before the end of 2021, our pool should be on its way, pools should be on its way, and our stands, because we have just submitted the stands to the powers that be so that they can see what the stands look like. And once that is in, we are ready, we should be ready to start putting on a pool in the ground. Myrtha, again, we said to them, we wanted everything that is the latest, including the blocks, including the timing system, including the touchpads, because we know this is a one-off game for us in St. Lucia, because we've never had an international pool. Far less, not even as Sonia and them had a concrete pool in Barbados for years, we don't have that. We have one pool in St. Lucia, but it's privately owned. So to us, it's something that we have to ensure is done to the best of our ability. And again, I would like to say thank you to Myrtha and his team. Julian being a St. Lucian, we literally beat up on him as much as we could have to tweak his brain to tell him, Julian, you need to make sure that whatever we do it right, because he understands also our cost implications. So for us, it was a good deal. And I must say, Myrtha, you have done us proud. I think once it's finished, I expect to see at least 7 or 8 or 10 of you here at our grand opening.
Of course, we're doing it. Not even a question. We're coming in numbers. This is going to be a grand event for sure. Thank you so much for that comment, and thank you for that review. And we are more than happy to have had the opportunity to work with St. Lucia on this. We're looking forward to, like you said, this facility opening up. And Julian is great. He's done great with you guys and with the other countries in the Caribbean. And now with this partnership with Felix and Philippe, where Julian and I are kind of also, we are personally invested coming from CCCAN, swimming CCCAN our whole life. So we're really looking forward to this. Thank you all for joining us today. If you have questions that we didn't touch on today or topics that we didn't touch on today, you know where to find us. We will follow up with the recording of this webinar to share with anyone that you would like to. With that, that's it from my end. I'll hand over to Felix to just say one last thing.
Thank you. I would like to thank Trevor, Julian, Lani, and Philippe for this presentation. Like I said at the beginning, we are very, very proud in CCCAN to be partners with Myrtha Pools. I would like to use this opportunity also to announce that we finally will be able to host a CCCAN event this year. It's going to be in San Juan, Puerto Rico, in the last week of June. The specifics will be coming very soon in the next few days. That will be our first championship. We're a new partner, Myrtha Pool. So I hope that all of you have the opportunity to come to San Juan for the CCCAN championship. That we hope that it's going to be also an Olympic qualifier. This is just the beginning of a great relationship that we're going to hold for many years. And I want to thank you once again for making possible that the development of the aquatic sports it's possible in the region. So thank you all. Have a good afternoon, and we will see you soon.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you, Felix. Thanks, everyone.